He said he's grateful for me at Thanksgiving dinner, so I told him he should be because I'm settling. Yeah, I actually said that. Out loud. In front of his entire family. I know how it sounds, but honestly, it's the truth. I'm Breland, 26, and I've got way too much going for me to end up with someone like Wesley. From day one, I knew he wasn't exactly what I had in mind. You know those girls who settle down with the high school quarterback and live happily ever after? That was supposed to be me. Instead, I'm with a guy who wears the same 3 button-ups on rotation and thinks splurging means ordering appetizers. Between us, I've always been the catch in this relationship. The pretty one, the social one, the one who could have done better. Wesley should thank his lucky stars every single day that I chose him. We met 4 years ago when I was temping at this medical office. He came in to fix something with the ventilation system. Not exactly a meet cute, right? I was between relationships and, honestly, bored. Wesley wasn't what I'd call hot, but he had this quiet confidence that was kind of intriguing. Plus, he asked for my number right away, no games. I figured why not? A few dates to pass the time while I waited for someone better. But then weeks turned into months, and I found myself getting comfortable. Too comfortable. Wesley was steady, showing up when he said he would, texting good morning every day, listening to my problems without zoning out. After my disaster relationship with Jared, this gorgeous finance bro who treated me like an accessory, Wesley's reliability was refreshing. But let's be real, I always kept one eye on the exit. You're so lucky, my friend Paige would say. He worships the ground you walk on. And yeah, he did. Still does, actually. But is that really enough? I mean, I've got a whole list of backup guys in my phone, just in case. Wesley has no idea. I keep them warm with occasional texts, making sure I've got options. Insurance policy, you know? A girl's gotta look out for herself. 8 months in, we moved in together. My lease was up, and it made financial sense. Wesley had this decent 2-bedroom place. Nothing fancy, but the rent was good. I didn't put my name on the lease, though. Always good to have an easy out. The thing about Wesley is he's fine. He's got a steady job. He's not horrible to look at when he makes an effort, and he doesn't have any major red flags. But he's not exciting. Not the kind of guy who makes other girls jealous. I've always been upfront with my friends about this. He's my safe choice, I'd tell Paige over wine. The kind of guy you marry when you're tired of drama. When he proposed after 2 years, I wasn't even surprised. He did it at this fancy restaurant, clearly stretching his budget to impress me. The ring was smaller than I'd hoped, but I said yes anyway. Why? Security, mostly. I was 24 and most of my friends were getting engaged, plus being single is exhausting. With Wesley, at least I knew what I was getting, and hey, divorce is always an option, right? His reaction when I said yes was pathetic. He actually teared up, right there in the restaurant. I remember being embarrassed, looking around to see if anyone noticed. Later that night, I made a secret Pinterest board titled Actual Dream Wedding, completely different from the one I shared with him. Because even then, I knew this wasn't my forever. I'd been stashing away cash in a separate savings account he has no idea about. My escape fund, as I call it, just in case this whole marriage thing doesn't work out. When we started planning the wedding, his opinions drove me crazy. He actually thought he should have input. Like, sorry, but no one cares what you think about flower arrangements, Wesley. I vetoed most of his ideas and went with what I wanted. He gave in, like he always does. The first year of marriage has been a masterclass in how to manage your husband. I've got Wesley on a tight leash, and honestly, it's exhausting being the superior one in this relationship. Take last month, I decided his wardrobe needed a complete overhaul. Not suggestions. I literally threw out half his clothes while he was at work. When he came home and saw his closet half empty, I told him I was doing him a favor. Those shirts were embarrassing both of us, I said. He looked hurt, but nodded along. You'd think the man would show some backbone, but nope, that's Wesley. Always eager to please. I've got him so trained that he texts me his location throughout the day without me even asking anymore. Meanwhile, I've got my location services turned off. It drains my battery, I tell him, which is total bull. I just don't need him knowing I sometimes take 2-hour coffee breaks with my gym trainer Ryan. I've started spending more time with my work friend Tori. Now there's someone who gets it. She's all about upgrading her life. Better apartment, better clothes, better men. You can always trade up, she tells me, and I'm starting to think she's right. Tori introduced me to her cousin Chase last week. He works in commercial real estate, drives an actual luxury car, not Wesley's practical snooze mobile, and has this confidence that Wesley could never pull off. Chase and I have been texting casually. Just friendly stuff. Nothing that would raise eyebrows if Wesley saw it, which he won't, because unlike him, I keep my phone locked down tight. Speaking of phones, I go through Wesley's at least once a week. He has no idea. His password is our anniversary date. How original. I tell myself it's just to make sure he's not hiding anything, but really, it's because I can. The double standard is real, and I have zero guilt about it. When Wesley asks about my day, I get defensive. Why the interrogation? I'll snap. But if he doesn't share every detail of his whereabouts, I make him feel like he's being shady. I've gotten pretty good at using my past to control situations, too. Whenever Wesley brings up something legitimate, like how I spent $600 on a purse when we agreed to budget, I'll bring up how my ex cheated on me. I guess I just thought you were different, that you'd understand why I needed this after everything I've been through, I'll say, eyes welling up. Works every time. Our sex life is basically a reward system at this point. If Wesley's been especially attentive, paid for something expensive, or managed not to annoy me for a full day, he gets lucky. If he's questioned me or failed to anticipate my needs, suddenly I'm too tired or not feeling it. I can see it kills him, but it keeps him motivated to stay on my good side. Last week, his company had this dinner thing, and I was shocked to see how respected he is there. His colleagues were coming up to him all night, asking his opinion, laughing at his jokes. One of the company VPs even mentioned Wesley was being considered for some leadership position. I stood there thinking, are we talking about the same person? The Wesley I know at home can barely decide what to watch on Netflix without checking if I approve first. That's when I realized Wesley's backbone might be growing in secret. There's been other small signs too. He recently bought a watch without consulting me first, started hitting the gym more regularly, and last week he actually disagreed with me about which restaurant to go to for dinner. Tiny things, but for Wesley, it's practically a revolution. Thanksgiving with his family was just around the corner, and I was already dreading it. His mom always looks at me like she can see right through me. His sister Ellie is even worse, constantly making these little comments about how different I am from Wesley's ex, who was apparently some saint who volunteered with rescue puppies or whatever. It's going to be a long day of pretending to care about their boring lives while missing my friend's annual pre-Black Friday champagne brunch. Thanksgiving Day arrived with all the appeal of a root canal. I spent extra time on my appearance. Not for Wesley's family, but because looking hot while they all showed up in their Walmart sweaters gave me a sense of superiority I desperately needed to get through the day. Wesley kept saying how beautiful I looked, which would have been sweet if he hadn't followed it with, maybe tone down the makeup a bit for my parents? I pretended not to hear him. The house smelled like turkey and disappointment. Wesley's mom, Janet, hugged me too tight, his dad, Bob, gave me an awkward side hug, and his sister Ellie did that fake air kiss thing that screamed, "I don't trust you with my brother." The gang was all here, ready for another thrilling episode of Pretend Breland Fits Into This Family. Wesley's cousin showed up with his new girlfriend, this mousy little thing who apparently worked as a pediatric nurse. Everyone was fawning over her, asking about her job, cooing about how amazing and selfless she was. Meanwhile, I stood there with my marketing coordinator position that actually required talent and education, not just a tolerance for screaming children. Between us, I wanted to scream when Janet said, "It takes a special person to work with kids," while looking pointedly not at me. Dinner itself was the usual parade of bland dishes and blander conversation. Then came the tradition I'd been dreading, the gratitude circle. Each person had to share what they were thankful for this year. Gag me. One by one they shared their Hallmark card answers. Janet was thankful for family. Bob was thankful for good health. Ellie was thankful for her demonic children. The saintly nurse was thankful for the opportunity to make a difference. Then it was Wesley's turn. He cleared his throat, looked right at me, and said, "I'm thankful for Breland. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. Every day I wake up grateful that she chose me." The sincerity in his voice made my skin crawl. The way everyone was looking at us, smiling, like we were some kind of fairy tale. The pressure of maintaining the facade, the irritation of missing my friend's brunch, the absurdity of this man thinking I was the best thing in his life when I had a whole folder of messages from Chase hidden in my phone. It all became too much. "You should be grateful," I said, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. "I'm settling." The silence that followed was absolute. Every fork stopped midair. Every smile froze and then melted away. Wesley's face went slack with shock, then flushed deep red. I tried to laugh, to play it off as a joke, but my awkward kidding, obviously, fell flat in the tomb-like silence. Someone, I think it was Bob, awkwardly changed the subject. The conversation limped along for the rest of dinner, but the damage was done. I'd said out loud what I'd only ever admitted to myself and my closest friends. The drive home was silent. Wesley's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. I tried to break the tension once. "Your mom's stuffing was dry this year." Nothing, not even a glance. When we got home, he walked straight to the bedroom and closed the door. I heard the shower running and knew he was trying to wash the day away. I sat on the couch, scrolling through social media, looking at everyone's perfect Thanksgiving posts, and wondered why I felt so hollow when I'd finally spoken my truth. "It was just a joke," I called out when Wesley emerged from the bedroom in sweatpants and a t-shirt. "Everyone's so sensitive these days." "Not tonight, Breland," he said quietly. "I don't have it in me to pretend right now." I went to bed alone, telling myself he was overreacting, that his family was overreacting, that it was just words, and everyone needed to get over it. But as I lay there, staring at the ceiling, I couldn't shake the image of Wesley's face when I'd said it, like I'd confirmed his deepest fear. The next morning I expected groveling. Silent treatment first, then sad puppy eyes, then desperate attempts to win back my affection. That's how our fights usually played out. But when I woke up, Wesley was already gone. No note, no text. Just his side of the bed, cold and empty. I checked my phone, nothing. Called him, straight to voicemail. A flicker of unease passed through me, but I pushed it away. This was Wesley we were talking about. Predictable, dependable Wesley. He was probably just at the gym, working out his feelings because he was too scared to confront me. When he finally came home that evening, something had changed. He didn't look angry or sad. He looked resolved, like he'd made a decision. He put his keys on the counter, looked me in the eye, and said, "We need to talk." Those 4 words sent a chill down my spine. Not because I was afraid of losing him, but because for the first time since I'd known him, Wesley looked like he wasn't afraid of losing me. I panicked. I tried my usual tactics. First, dismissal. It was just a stupid joke. Everyone needs to lighten up. Then, when his expression didn't change, I switched to victim mode. "I can't believe you're making me feel bad about this. Do you know how hard it is for me to spend time with your family?" When that didn't work, I went nuclear and brought up my ex. "You know I have trust issues after what Jared did. Sometimes I say things to push people away before they can hurt me." I even managed to squeeze out a few tears for effect. "Are you done?" he asked when I paused for breath. That's when I knew I was in trouble. "I've been thinking about what you said yesterday," he continued. "At first, I was hurt, really hurt, but then I realized something. You did me a favor." "A favor?" I repeated, thrown off script. "Yeah, you finally said out loud what I've suspected for a long time. You think you settled for me, you think you deserved better." He ran a hand through his hair, and I noticed for the first time that it looked good. Had he changed his styling routine? "The thing is, Breland, I've been settling too." That hit me like a physical blow. "Excuse me?" "I've been settling for a relationship where I'm not respected, where I'm treated like an accessory or an ATM or a backup plan, where I constantly have to prove my worth to someone who decided from day one that I wasn't good enough." His voice wasn't angry, it was clear, deliberate. "Yesterday wasn't a revelation, Bree. It was confirmation." "You don't mean that," I said, trying to regain control. "You're just upset." "I'm not upset anymore," he said with a small shrug. "I'm just done." "Done?" My voice came out higher than I intended. "What does that even mean?" It means I've been talking to a lawyer. It means I'm staying with Mike for a while. It means I think we should start discussing how to divide our things. Mike was his friend from work. The one I always said was a bad influence because he was divorced and sometimes took Wesley out for beers. Now I understood why Wesley had been spending more time with him lately. He'd been preparing, planning. Right under my nose. "You can't be serious," I said, laughing to mask my shock. "Over one comment? You're that fragile?" "It's not one comment, Breland. It's 4 years of comments. 4 years of subtle put-downs and double standards and manipulation. I just couldn't see it clearly until yesterday." He looked almost sorry for me. "You know what my mom said to me after you left? She said, 'Wesley, sometimes people tell you exactly who they are. Believe them the first time.'" He walked past me to the bedroom, pulling out a small suitcase I didn't even know we owned. I followed him, watching in disbelief as he methodically packed clothes, toiletries, his laptop. "You'll be back," I said, aiming for confident but landing somewhere near desperate. "You always come back." "Not this time." He zipped up the suitcase. "You'll be hearing from Lisa Harmon. She's my lawyer. Don't try to contact me directly for a while. Everything should go through her." With that, he walked out, closing the door quietly behind him. No drama, no shouting, no slamming, just gone. I stood there, shell-shocked. This wasn't happening. Wesley didn't leave. Wesley didn't stand up to me. Wesley didn't talk about what he deserved. Except he just did. I grabbed my phone, furiously texting Paige. "Emergency. Wesley left? Help!" Then I opened Instagram, half hoping to see that Chase had posted something new, something to distract me. Instead, I saw a notification that Wesley had unfollowed me. Unfollowed me. I checked Facebook. His relationship status had been hidden. No dramatic, single announcement, just removed from public view. Like he was methodically erasing me from his life. Paige arrived an hour later with wine and chocolate, ready for our usual men are trash session. But as I recounted what happened, leaving out some of my more manipulative behaviors, of course, her face grew increasingly uncomfortable. "So you told his entire family you were settling for him? And you're surprised he left?" she asked carefully. "It was a joke," I insisted. "Everyone's so sensitive these days." Paige took a sip of wine, choosing her words. "Bree, was it really a joke, though? Because you've been saying stuff like that about Wesley to me for years." I felt betrayed. Paige was supposed to be on my side. "That's different. That's private girl talk." "Maybe," she said, "but if that's how you really feel, then maybe this is for the best." Days turned into weeks. I received formal papers from Lisa Harmon, outlining the initial steps of our separation. Wesley wanted to be fair, the letter said. He wasn't trying to take anything that wasn't rightfully his. But he was serious about ending our marriage. I tried everything. Angry texts, pleading voicemails, even showing up at his workplace once, which only resulted in security escorting me out. Nothing worked. Wesley had built a wall between us, and I couldn't find a way through. Meanwhile, my escape fund, the money I'd been secretly saving, suddenly seemed pathetic. It was enough for maybe 2 months of rent in a decent apartment. I'd always assumed that when I eventually left Wesley, I'd have another option lined up. Another man, another life. But Wesley leaving me? I had no contingency plan for that. I reached out to Chase, thinking maybe now was the time to see if those flirty texts could become something more. He was polite but distant. "Hope things work out with your husband," he wrote, making it clear he wasn't interested in being my rebound. 2 months after Thanksgiving, I agreed to meet with Wesley and both our lawyers to discuss the terms of our divorce. I spent hours getting ready, choosing an outfit that highlighted everything he'd be missing. Hair, makeup, perfume, all designed to make him regret every decision he'd made since Thanksgiving. But when I walked into the conference room, I almost didn't recognize him. Wesley looked good. Better than good. He'd changed his hair, upgraded his wardrobe, and there was a confidence in the way he held himself that I'd never seen before. Beside him sat a sharply dressed woman I assumed was Lisa Harmon. They were reviewing documents, heads bent together, looking every bit the power team. The meeting was quick and businesslike. Wesley was fair with the financial arrangements, more than fair, really. He didn't try to punish me or take what we'd built together. He just wanted a clean break. As we were leaving, I caught him alone in the hallway. You look good, I said, aiming for casual but landing somewhere near pathetic. Thanks, he replied with a small smile. I feel good. Is there someone else? I had to know. He shook his head. No, this isn't about another person, Breland. This is about me finally realizing what I deserve. And it's not me, I said, the realization hitting me with unexpected force. We weren't good for each other, he said simply. I hope someday you find someone who makes you feel like you're gaining something, not settling. With that, he walked away, leaving me standing alone in the hallway, the weight of my choices pressing down on me like never before. Over the next year, I watched from a distance as Wesley thrived. His promotion led to others. He bought a house, nothing extravagant, but nice in a good neighborhood. He looked happy in the few social media pictures I could still access. Meanwhile, my life fell apart in slow motion. My friends gradually stopped calling. It turned out many of them had only tolerated me because they liked Wesley. Without him, they had no reason to maintain the connection. Tori moved away for a job opportunity. Paige got engaged and became wrapped up in wedding planning. I was alone in a way I'd never been before. My work performance suffered too. I'd always been good at my job, but the stress of the divorce, the financial pressure, and my increasingly bitter attitude took a toll. I was passed over for a promotion I'd been counting on. My boss cited interpersonal issues as one of the reasons. The final blow came exactly 1 year after that fateful Thanksgiving. I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw a picture of Wesley with a woman I didn't recognize. They were standing in front of his new house, his arm around her waist, both of them beaming. The caption read, "Grateful for new beginnings." She was pretty in an understated way, not the type I would have expected him to end up with. Not a model or an Instagram influencer or anyone particularly spectacular. Just a normal, seemingly kind woman who looked at him with genuine affection. The comments were full of congratulations and warm wishes. His family, Janet, Bob, even Ellie, had all liked the post. They'd embraced this new woman without hesitation. This woman who probably never told Wesley she was settling for him, who probably saw his worth from day one. I closed the app and looked around my apartment, a downgrade from the one Wesley and I had shared, all I could afford now. Empty wine bottles on the counter, takeout containers piled in the trash, no pictures on the walls, no plants, no signs of life or love or hope. For the first time, I faced a terrible truth. I had been the one settling. Not for Wesley, but for the person I became when I was with him. The manipulative, entitled, shallow version of myself that I'd cultivated and justified and defended. I'd settled for treating someone poorly because it was easier than looking at my own insecurities. I'd settled for a relationship built on control rather than connection. And now I was alone. Truly alone. No backup plans, no escape fund, no Wesley to return to when I decided I'd had enough adventure. Just me and the echoing emptiness of my apartment, the consequences of my choices laid bare. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd spent years believing I deserved better than Wesley, only to discover too late that he deserved better than me. And he'd finally realized it too. I'd told Wesley he should be grateful because I was settling. But in the end, he was the one who found gratitude in walking away, while I was left to settle for the wreckage of the life I'd built and destroyed all by myself.